Dan Ottaway, who served as a chef, claims that out of all of the royals that he catered for, Prince Andrew was difficult and more demanding than others. I mean, he's certainly not getting a good rap.
Andrew and Fergie, the bitter ex-spouses, just got exposed. Yes, mates, the ex-couple who live together, defend each other, and cling to royal privilege, no matter how much controversy follows them, is once again in the headlines. Now, this video is not about rumors, it's not about gossip, and it's definitely not about fairy tale storytelling. Every detail here comes directly from documented interviews, palace insiders, investigative reporting, and those who worked inside the royal residences themselves. Because while Buckingham Palace tries to control public perception, the stories that leak out, especially from those who work closest to Andrew and Fergie, reveal something very different. Strange rituals, wild expectations, confusing demands, and a level of entitlement that shocks even people who have worked for the royals for decades. So today, we are exposing the truth behind one big question. What really goes on inside the home of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson? And why do insiders describe it as one of the most bizarre households in the royal world? Let's start with the part that sounds like a children's book, but absolutely isn't. Multiple palace insiders, including a former Buckingham Palace maid named Charlotte Briggs, has gone on record describing one of Andrew's most infamous habits, his obsessive ritual with stuffed animals and teddy bears. Briggs said that she was trained, not just casually instructed, but trained on how to arrange Andrew's large collection of teddy bears on his bed every single day. Not in a pile, not randomly. In a very precise, strictly defined order. Briggs described around 60 to 70 stuffed animals, many placed on his pillows, sailor bears arranged in uniform rows, larger bears in the back, smaller in front. Every animal had a specific position that could not be changed. She said that if she got it wrong, even slightly, Andrew would become angry.
There were some really funny things in there. We've known this before, that he is obsessed with like teddy bears. He has like 40 teddy bears that have to be assembled and arranged perfectly. Staff are given a chart to arrange Prince Andrew's teddy bears on his bed every day.
Another former royal protection officer confirmed the ritual in the documentary Scoop, saying that these stuffed animals were not a rumor. They were real, and the protocol around them was treated like an official royal duty. Now, if that wasn't bizarre enough, Briggs described how every night the bears had to be carefully moved off the bed and relocated around the room, including inside the unused fireplace, stacked in a pyramid shape. The palace treated these stuffed toys like museum pieces. And this wasn't something that Andrew grew out of. This was happening while he was a senior royal, a grown man in his 40s and 50s, demanding military-level precision in how his stuffed animals were handled. So what does that say about his mindset? To staff, it sent a message. Childish possessions treated with the seriousness of royal jewels. It also reinforced hierarchy, a reminder that even the smallest task in his room had to be done exactly his way, or there were consequences. But the teddy bears aren't the only strange ritual that insiders reported. Sources described that Andrew plays a game with household employees, where he hides a stuffed toy monkey in random places around Royal Lodge and waits to see if the staff notice it. If they don't, he calls them out.
Especially in recent years since he's left the royal family, that he takes it out on staff because he is in isolation, he is in this sprawling property with not necessarily a lot of interaction with the outside world, and apparently it's the staff that are really suffering. Right. Because, you know, they have to deal with his moods.
Former employees said the game wasn't funny, it was stressful because the point wasn't humor, it was power. One source told reporters that woe betide any staff member who failed the test. And remarkably, they said Fergie hated the game. Not because it was childish, but because it made the household tense. This paints a clear picture of Andrew's environment. A grown man, stripped of many public roles, clinging to rituals and control inside his personal space. Royal insiders have also pointed out a list of habitual behaviors that seem stuck in a strange emotional timeline. Reports describe Andrew as spending hours each day playing video games, monitoring airplanes flying overhead, having large-scale model collections, and keeping rigid routines inside the house. Now, on their own, none of these things are criminal. But inside a royal residence from a man who once held military rank and global diplomatic roles, the behavior struck insiders as unsettling. Several described Andrew as a man living in a bubble, disconnected from reality, using toys, routines, and games as coping mechanisms. When stripped of public duties, they say he retreated inward and the rituals intensified. It's not behavior the palace ever wanted made public, but multiple insiders have repeated the same story. Andrew treats his private living space like a childhood bedroom and expects staff to respect it as if it's a royal throne room. And when this living space is not a childhood bedroom, it's something even more dark and horrible. Stories of Andrew being... During the years when Prince Andrew's private life drew global scrutiny, reports surfaced suggesting that his royal residences were occasionally used for meetings with guests whose presence raised serious concerns.
I guess when you lose your royal titles and your royal housing and all the trappings that go along with both, the people who kept your secrets when you were a prince, they tend to get, shall we say, a little chatty. I refer, of course, to the former Prince Andrew, now just Andrew Windsor, commoner, and the staff at Buckingham Palace, who are now airing decades of dirty laundry. Royal historian Andrew Lowney tells News Nation's Paula Froelich that Randy Andy, in fact, was obsessed with prostitutes and even brought them home to the palace during a midlife crisis trip in 2016. And most stunning of all, if he hadn't thrown in with Jeffrey Epstein, he might still be the Duke of York.
Now let's switch to Sarah Ferguson, because insiders say her presence at Royal Lodge is not passive. Even though she and Andrew divorced in 1996, Fergie never fully left the royal world. She continued living with Andrew for decades, first saying it was for their daughters and later insisting they were the happiest divorced couple in the world. But insiders say her presence comes with expectations and sometimes demands. After Andrew's scandals destroyed his public role, there were discussions about whether he should continue living at Royal Lodge, a massive, expensive, taxpayer-adjacent royal property. Reports surfaced claiming that Fergie wanted to ensure the property remained their residence even though Andrew had lost most of his official position. Insiders claim she raised the possibility of being moved into Adelaide Cottage if the monarchy forced them out, a request that many critics called outrageous considering Andrew's situation. Even if her spokesperson denied demand as the word, the fact that the option was suggested at all shows how normalized royal housing is to her. Now, most people, when fired or disgraced, lose privileges, but inside the royal bubble, expectations linger. Fergie has spent decades in financial trouble, large debts, business failures, borrowing money from wealthy friends, and selling personal items to pay bills. She has been reportedly criticized for living beyond her means, even long after losing her official royal privileges.
In the book, you write that the News of the World scandal almost helped you, that it let you look at your life.
I'm very grateful to being in that position. In a way, when I hit rock bottom, because of it.
Insiders say that Fergie behaved as though certain luxuries were owed to her. Paid travel, staff support, royal standard property, invitations to events. Even after her divorce and even after Andrew's scandals, she expected royal treatment. One longtime royal watcher said Sarah behaves as if the divorce removed nothing. She still expects the lifestyle. And here's where it connects to Andrew. Because with her own finances unstable, insiders believe her continued presence in Andrew's home protects her lifestyle, her status, and her branding. A royal address keeps her relevant. A royal connection keeps her employable. A royal backdrop keeps her marketable. This isn't illegal, it's not a conspiracy, it is simply strategic. Insiders consistently describe Andrew and Fergie's modern relationship as transactional, not romantic, not conventional, but mutually useful. For Andrew, Fergie shields him socially and she publicly supports him when the palace won't. For Fergie, Andrew's home means stability, royal connection keeps her public brand alive, and being Prince Andrew's ex-wife is part of her career. Several former staff members have described working in Andrew and Fergie's shared household as exhausting and unpredictable, because Andrew demands precision and obedience. Fergie demands access and privilege. One insider described working there as like serving a prince who never grew up and a duchess who never moved out. Their behavior shows what happens when someone grows up with limitless privilege. No accountability, no consequences, no responsibility, no reality check. Andrew lost military roles, public duties, patronages, and royal standing, but inside Royal Lodge, he keeps living like nothing changed. And Fergie stays right there beside him, protecting what's left of the lifestyle. Their private world reveals what the royal family works very hard to hide. When privilege becomes habit, entitlement feels like a right.